5, 4, 3.
Yep. 4. Can never say 4 because there might be pyro.
Okay, here we go. I guarantee on the pod, there's never pyro. Although I did have some real spicy chicken wings tonight, so there could be pyro
did you?
in my future.
There might be pyro in this podcast. Great.
Yes.
Okay, well, we should probably start it for the podcast. I mean, this is all going into the YouTube, so.
Right. Well, your dog barking in the background is going into the YouTube.
You can hear that?
Yes, I can.
I even put a blanket around the door, so like, to help.
Lucy.
Yep, she's crazy. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Justin.
We actually haven't done that in like 2 episodes.
I know.
I think the people missed it.
I do. I think so too. I missed it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So hey, tonight we're doing back by popular demand format. Tonight, while we were recording, is Game 7. So Andrew and I do not know what happens in Game 7 at this moment.
Not yet.
But we're going to recap Game 5 and Game 6, which were miracle games that we got. And now we are miraculously getting Game 7. And now we are going to watch that game after. We're going to record a bit and we're going to watch that game. And then we're going to come back and you get the unfiltered reaction to whatever happens. Unchecked. It went over very well. We appreciate all the feedback we received about last.
Yes, it was our highest performing episode, so we're back again.
Repeat. Rinse, reuse, recycle. I don't know. That's probably not the right order.
I'd like another win too, so I don't want to do this after a loss. So
last week we did it and we won. So there.
So exactly, we're putting out the same vibes.
Everything we can do to make this happen again.
Yes, exactly.
Welcome to the AudPod, where we're talking Kitchener Rangers hockey with the AudBalls themselves, Andrew and Justin. Take it away, fellas.
Game 7 is happening tonight, Andrew. Game 6, you were at Game 6. I mean, we can talk about these in whatever order we want. We are going to Game 7. Last Wednesday, we never anticipated a Game 7.
Man, we started this episode last Wednesday, and it was kind of like a waiting execution. It was a little bit like, what do we talk about? It was 3 of the worst games that the boys had played. They looked flat. And how do we not be doom and gloom about a 3-0 deficit against a really good team? And you know what? We kind of just, I was surprised at how much we actually did draw positive from those 3 games and kind of had a hopeful outlook moving into Game 4. And then, of course, we really leaned into the comeback kids in the second part of that episode where we came back from Game 4 and down 3-1. We just had some sort of weird little spark that we could come back and win it. And, well, here we are, Game 7.
Game 7. Yeah, I mean, last week we didn't know if we would even but we didn't even know if we would be doing an episode this week. Like, we didn't even know what we would.
Well, at any point, I guess, in any of these past 3 games, they could have lost, and then the AudPod would be doing a season recap right now. So
I'm just happy we aren't. I'm not ready for that.
I'm just excited, yes, for more hockey, at least one more game, at least one more opportunity to watch Jackson Parsons and Trent Swick and the boys get out there and play some Rangers hockey.
Yeah. These games have been very exciting. So obviously last week, Wednesday, we won in a shoutout at home. Then on Friday, we went back to Windsor. We won 5-2 in a pretty dominant game.
Oh yeah.
And then Easter Sunday, we came back to the Odd and we won 4-0. Another shutout by Jackson Parsons.
Another shutout. 2 in 3 games. And realistically, he's only given up 1 like true like hockey goal in these three games, because one of the two goals he gave up in game, sorry, mic bump.
Game 5.
One of the two games that one of the two goals he gave up in game 5 in the 5-2 win was a EA Sports NHL goal. It was a lag glitch goal. It was
the Frank Costanza 1 in a million shot, Doc. 1 in a million shots.
It was basically a dump in, realistically, that went off his water bottle behind him, bounced up in the air, bounced off his back and into the net. So I've never seen that before. We'll never see that again. I feel very comfortable saying that. I've seen it go off the glass. I've seen it go off the glass and go off the goalie's back. I've never seen it go off a goalie's water bottle.
No,
I tell you.
And the way it fluttered in too, it was just like, you could just, in the replay, you didn't really know what was happening in the moment, but in the replay, you're like, oh, are you kidding me?
Rotation of the earth plate apart. Like it was ridiculous. So realistically, really only one shot has got past him in these three games. He has, as one of the themes that we had last week was talking about regression, positive regression. Jackson Parsons positively regressed from being, not his best hockey, still a pretty good goalie, still some pretty good efforts there. Of course, Kitchener wasn't scoring, so you can't blame a goalie too much.
Yeah.
But he is overcorrected into being this like unbelievably dominant force in these last three games. So it's been a treat to watch. I said it earlier today. I mean, win or lose, which we don't want to bring any bad juju into this, but win or lose, the boys can be proud of what they've done, and I'm proud of what they've done this season. And realistically, if they do, if this is it tonight after Game 7, then Jackson Parsons' last two starts at the Aud were shutouts in the playoffs.
I mean, what more could you really ask for? This was a rebuilding team, and now we've gone to Game 7 of round 2.
Yeah, went down 3-0.
This has been phenomenal.
Went down 3-0, right? Like looked like The Walking Dead in those first three games. So I'm beyond psyched that we're here, and I'm grateful we're here. That 5-2 victory was headlined by some more positive regression. Trent Swick, Christian Humphreys, and Jack Pridham went ballistic. They combined for 8 points. Trent Swick had 2 goals and an assist. Christian Humphreys had a goal and an assist.
And a beautiful goal by Christian Humphreys, too.
Yes, absolutely.
It just looked, we had talked about Christian Humphreys a number of times throughout the playoffs here. And we're a little worried about him. It felt like maybe the nerves had gone to him a little bit, and maybe there was a little bit, some of his confidence seemed to be. But I think Trent Swick knocked his confidence back into place in Game 1.
Well, I was going to say,
because he has come out since he's been back. He has looked so good.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, he took quite the hard, a hard reset from Trent Swick's chicken wing, which is one attached to a 6'6", 6'7" body. So that is one thing that these guys will.
One thing that these guys will never understand, but we will. Basically, he took the N64 cartridge out, blew on it, and put it back in the machine.
Hey, whatever works, because it's been working. Luca Romano and Luke Ellenis combined for a goal, and it was nice to see Ando got on the score sheet with an assist on that empty netter.
He got 2 in that. He got 2 assists in that game.
You're right. He did. He had 2. So it was great to see Ando get some playoff points for the old career stat line. You love that because he's a great Ranger of all time. I'm sure he'll enter that conversation very soon. And Ilya Protas did score a goal in this one, but I will say across both games, this I will interject into myself. Liam Greentree was not playing in this game. This was the game he missed.
Yeah.
So this was the game he missed with the flu, or he was sickness or whatever, a bug or whatever, which feels a bit like karma for that 12-2 drubbing where the Rangers were sick. And let me remind you that Liam Greentree scored 5 goals in game 3. So I don't know. I mean,
I'm pretty sure the one thing we said last episode before we had watched game 4 was that we said that top line, there was nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah. So, so they contained Protas and Morneau, who, they only got on the score sheet once in this game. And then, of course, in the next game, they didn't get on the score sheet at all. And Greentree came back. He didn't look 100%, but that's the playoffs, baby. That's it. That's playoff hockey. If you're 100%, then you probably were not playing all year. That's pretty much the playoffs. That's
pretty much all you get.
So there's not much to talk about as far as Windsor is concerned in game 6 because they didn't register.
But we got a lot to talk about with the Rangers.
Exactly, including killing 6 penalties. So 6 power plays.
Yeah. So that was one thing we talked about last week as well, is that the officiating has been a bit lopsided.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it has corrected positively in the fact that it's not that the Rangers are taking less penalties. It's just that the Spitfires are getting more deserved penalties.
Yeah. And the penalty kill has gone 14 for 14 in these 3 games.
Yeah, in the last 3 games. Yeah. Which is what we saw against Erie as well, was just a dominant penalty kill.
Yes. Erie. No.
Which is what we saw against Flint, was a dominant penalty kill.
Truly. Yes.
Fix that in post.
Yeah, fix it in post. Exactly. YouTube, you saw it. Yeah, we just, I think Flint kind of overtook Erie a bit as the team I really don't like. So I could see where you confuse those two.
Little stepbrother?
Yeah, exactly. Little stepbrother. I love it. That's a good one.
Yeah, but this game, like, this is when we saw. We had talked about Mercer and Arquette in the previous game.
Yes.
In game 3, they had a pretty great game.
They did.
And this game, I think you and I were texting about Mercer like moments before he scored the opening and inevitable game-winning goal of this game.
Absolutely.
And it was an awesome goal.
It was. And that line, which has kind of come together now that Elenis and Humphreys are back. We've got Mercer, Vermeulen, and Arquette, and we've got Lamb bumped up to line 2. Mercer, Vermeulen, and Arquette have been the line faced with shutting down Protas and Greentree and Morneau. And they've been doing it, not just doing it, but they're scoring. They're putting on pressure. They're controlling possession. They're literally doing everything you'd need them to do to cancel out these guys. And honestly, it feels like maybe the strategy is attack when Protas and Morneau and Greentree are on the ice, because that's not their forte. Their forte isn't defense. Those guys are unbelievable, but maybe the Spitfires have regressed back to the mean of, they really are a top-heavy team with kind of 2 guys, 3 guys who are kind of, it's. I had a buddy who watches the OHL text me, and he said, maybe the Spitfires are a bit of a 2 or 3 trick pony right now, and that's what it feels like. I think, they're a good team. There's lots of good players. They've turned it around in Windsor, but that whole argument with depth versus top-heavy play has completely flipped. Flipped now that the depth scoring is there, and the top end boys on the Rangers are going. Line 1 is scoring. Pridham had 2 goals in this game, including the coveted penalty shot goal, which blew the roof off the Aud.
Yeah, unbelievable. You were at the Aud. I was watching from home. I could feel it in Cambridge. The Aud just vibrating.
Right? Yeah, it was definitely a check the Richter scale, because there's some seismic activity, because the Aud was going berserk. It was just one of those moments that they were already up one on the Mercer goal, as you had said, and that was a beautiful goal. And then Pridham gets sprung on a breakaway, and a Spitfire player without his stick grabs him and tears him down on the breakaway. And the
what idea was that? Like, come on, dude.
I mean, I get it to some degree that like you want to, but realistically, you're going to draw a penalty shot there, and he has time to think about what he's doing. So it's actually not a good penalty. But I understand that in some cases you think you got to take away the scoring opportunity and go on the penalty kill. That wasn't the case, right? Because he was clearing away on a breakaway. So
he was.
So it really was a bad decision, because then what we saw was this awesome, unforgettable sequence between Pridham and Parsons, where they go and they confer, and you can tell that Parsons is given the scouting report, is saying, I mean, this is the thing you don't think of. Parsons is standing there watching Joey Costanzo play. When there's play is down
for 5 games now,
right? When the play is down at Joey Costanzo's end, Parsons is just watching him. So now that there's an opportunity, there's really nobody better than Parsons to go and say, like, what do you think I should do? And Parsons clearly gave him good information. And what I loved was Pridham used his speed to his advantage. A lot of time these guys go in and they try and do this like reverse. I'm going to go really slow and like try and force the goalie to make a move first. Pridham just went in, has that elite speed, went in, kind of cut across the front and deposited in the far end of the net. And it was no doubt, it was the turning point of that game. It felt like that was the moment that Windsor kind of was like, oh no. And it was only 2-0, but it did feel, it was halfway through the game, and you could feel the Aud not getting ahead of themselves, but like, it was just like this like outburst of like, we're going to win this game. We're going to win this game.
Yeah. And then he, he did his classic flow check celly, and then skated immediately back to Parsons and gave him the biggest hug. Yeah. And we talked about this too, is like, these guys are obviously, there's more than just like they're playing well as a team on the ice. Like, they are obviously gelling as a team in like all facets, and you can just see it in those types of moments where they're just so excited for each other, and they're just so excited to be here. And yeah,
totally agreed. It's a great team. They're a great squad, and I really hope that we get to watch more of them, because the story feels unfinished.
It does. Yeah, and then Pridham got another beautiful goal.
Yeah.
The next, about one full period later.
Yeah, almost to the second. Yeah.
Almost to the second. And then Vermeulen just finished it off in the third. It was interesting because I think they had pulled goalie, and then they put Costanzo back in.
Yeah, when they drew a penalty. So they drew a penalty. Play. Yeah. So they pulled Costanzo with like 5 minutes left. And
I mean, when you're down 3 goals, what else are you going to do?
Makes sense, but Pridham actually had a chance to score and just missed the net narrowly.
Hey, I don't know about Pridham in these empty nets. I think.
I mean, it was almost a 180-foot shot, so we'll give him a break.
We'll give him a pass. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, this game 6. This was I didn't really sleep that night after this game. Like, it was just like I was just wired.
Oh, sure.
It was unbelievable. The energy coming off, even at home, was amazing. It felt like such a great game.
Yeah, it was great. I was talking to people down there. People were talking to me. It was like people in the crowd were just like, giving each other high fives, and on the walk out, it felt like, they're doing this. And there was chanting, let's go Rangers all through the concourse as we exited the building. As we mentioned on our social media, I saw a Andalorian sign, which is just the coolest thing ever. Something that we said on the pod and made a social media clip out of, and it's been embraced, by the Rangers social media. It's been embraced by the Andalorian himself, and now it's showing up at games with the fans who are the people who are listening to us. So we absolutely love that. That's just the coolest thing I think ever, really. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like super validating for us, but also it's just like fun to be a part of this community. It goes back to the being embraced by the community and being a part of it. It's just like it feels awesome. Do you remember the person's name? We messaged with them.
Yes, I will tell you right now. YouTube, you can see it.
We can say shout out to.
Okay,
YouTube's getting a shout out.
Jen McKinnon messaged me and said, that's me and my friend's sign. So Jen, thank you so much for reaching out. Thank you so much for making a cool sign. And we hope we see you in round 3.
Yeah. Little Ando in round 3. All right. So we are running up close to game time start, but there's one other bit of business that we want to talk about because 2 former Rangers had an exciting week in the NHL right before the NHL playoffs started. So we're now obviously almost a week into NHL playoffs, but no, not even. We're now a few days into NHL playoffs, but there was a couple of games before the playoffs started when basically everybody was locked up, and so a bunch of rookies got an opportunity to play. One of which, of course, is our dear friend of the pod, Hunter Brustevich.
Is that not the dream right now? Is that maybe the long-term goal is to make Hunter Brustevich a friend of the pod and not just a friend of the pod?
Well, the friend is my jersey. My jersey knows Hunter Brustevich personally now, but
it's true.
But not me. So we'll get the connections going. We'll see if we can maybe get Hunter on to say hello at some point.
The dream. We'll lobby for it.
Yeah, please. I did seem to indicate that he had died, even though he hasn't, obviously, because he played his first NHL game.
Well, I'm almost going to argue from a skeptic point that I'm not sure of the whereabouts of Hunter Brustevich because I didn't watch the game because I don't watch Calgary Flames games. So he almost has to come on here to prove to me
that he is
he's very much alive.
But he had a good game. I mean, Calgary had a good game that night. They played LA. LA was, of course, benching some of their superstars, as was the Flames, for very different reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was a good number. I think there were 6 rookies playing for the Flames, one of which was Hunter Brustevich, of course, one of which was Zane Parekh, who, of course, caught all the headlines because he scored a goal in the game. But Brustevich had a terrific game. I mean, I was watching. It was he played 18-23. He played 20 shifts. He was a +2. He had a penalty. He got 2 shots on net, a hit. He had a takeaway. Like, you know, he looked like a good defenseman. He looked like he fit in with the team. Like, Calgary's identity has always been sort of strong puck moving defenseman, and you know, he very much fits into the style and the play of the Calgary Flames. So I'm excited. I imagine that there's a very real possibility that he will be getting some NHL time next season. And he didn't look out of place at all. So I'm excited for it.
Well, I love that for him, even if it is in Calgary. But I'm excited for former Rangers across the league. Like, we know that there's guys leaving this team that already have NHL deals, and we'll always be rooting for Rangers right across.
We will. Other Ranger, you wanted to talk about another Ranger who had an NHL debut this week.
Ville Ottavainen had a NHL debut with the Seattle Kraken, and he scored an assist. He played with the Kitchener Rangers in 2019-2020. He played 53 games and had 15 points. He is a big 6'5" defenseman. He's only 22 years old, so there's lots of opportunity there, and I think it's probably pretty good that he got on the score sheet. Now, someone else had an NHL debut, but not as a player. Former Kitchener Rangers captain Liam Maskant will make his NHL debut as a referee in Buffalo at I think it was the second last game of the season in Buffalo. So It's pretty exciting. April 17th, that was. He actually scored the teddy bear goal once upon a time. So it's pretty cool that he put on the black and white stripes with the little orange trim. and he's a referee, and I'll try to remember that when I disagree with one of his calls that he too is a Ranger. So you got to give him a little bit of love. So he joins Dan Kelly. Dan Kelly also referee, was one of the short list groats that we didn't have room for. So so just a little nugget there. There's another Ranger as an
There's
official.
a little bit of history of some refs coming out of the Rangers.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I mean, I feel like it's a great way to continue a career in hockey, like after you're playing.
Yeah, it really. I mean, I think you have to be incredibly gifted as a skater.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the refs. I mean, we've done a lot of ref bashing over the last couple of weeks, but yeah, refs work incredibly hard in these games.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine the cardio and the leg strength and the skating ability you need to have as a ref. We saw
plus no padding, and they take a lot of pucks.
Oh, and not only that, we saw one in Bridgeport in the AHL get checked because the player, and it was an accident, the player actually was looking over his shoulder, and then the ref happened to be out of position, like quite out of position, and they never get out of position like this. So it's dangerous because he was out of position, and the player turned around and gave him a shove, not realizing, like, as his head's turning, he's already shoving the body because he can feel a body right in front of him, and sent this poor ref into the boards, got a 10-game suspension for it, but was down, like, in his ear, like, "Are you okay? I'm so sorry." So being an official is dangerous, it's difficult, and we understand. That said, get it right. Just kidding. But that said, favor my team. All right? No.
Do better.
Do better. No, I don't want them to favor my team. I want it to be fair and balanced. That's always what I want.
And transparent.
Yeah.
You really just want some transparency.
And realistically, like, it's like, there was a lot of discussion on the TikTok about the "Ref You Suck" clip that we put up, and where we were talking about the discrepancy in officiating. And I had to reply to a few, like, we weren't denying the Rangers penalties. We weren't denying that the Rangers were playing undisciplined. We weren't denying that at all. In fact, that was one of our frustrations. The frustration lied with the fact that the Spitfires were just not getting penalties. It just wasn't being called against them. And now it's flipped. And the Rangers are still being somewhat undisciplined. However, the penalty kill is clicking. So if the Rangers tonight, which is a little preview, the Rangers tonight, which you will probably, it won't sound like anything because you'll magic of editing. The Rangers are disciplined and they keep playing like they've been playing. They got a real shot at going through.
Couldn't agree more. I was going to ask you what your keys to the game were heading into Game 7, but
that's it. I mean,
that's it.
It's discipline, and Jackson Parsons has to be the best player on the Rangers because he is the best player on the Rangers.
He is the best player on the Rangers for sure.
What are your keys to the game?
I was also going to go discipline, but let's go with. I think we found a strength in the last game with Mercer and co shutting down that top line like we talked about, and I think it will be. It's always harder because when you're away, you don't get the lineup matchups that you want. But I think the Juice and his coaching staff are very good at figuring these things out, and I think that is what will be the strength is being able to shut down the top line of Windsor, because that's all you have to do. If you can shut down the top line of Windsor, you're free to go.
That's a good way of putting it. And we're also free to go, Justin, now, because it's almost game time.
Should we? Why don't we sign off by going? Let's go. We'll chant "Let's go Rangers," so then I can fade it. I can do a little. YouTube is getting the behind the scenes clip.
Oh, YouTube.
We can do a little fade out.
All right,
and then we'll be like, okay, so we are going to watch the game now, and Game 7 will be back shortly. Let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers. Is there a delay? 3, 2, 1. Let's go Rangers. Must be a delay. Oh, we just found that out. I love it. I'm like, how is he late every time? Or how I was late the first time. So
virtual recording not working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, you could just cut and layer, right?
Fade to black.
Fade to
One
black.
eternity later.
Okay,
bye.
Bye.
We reverse.
The story is not over. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for everyone who was listening to the first part of this episode because they know. Yeah, that was incredible.
Andrew, you LeBron'd us into the third series.
Yeah. Oh yeah, here it is. Let me bring it up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here, I've got the wired headphones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
let us have.
Yeah. Don't let us get. Oh man,
that was one of the most stressful games of my life.
That was one of the most stressful games of my life for sure. That was one of the best games, I think, as well.
Yes.
It was one of the best series I've ever seen. It was the tale of two 3-game splits, basically.
Yes.
And then it was the technical slobber knocker of a game 7. That's what it was, because it was literally like two heavyweights who just literally beat the what out of each other for 6 games. And then it was, the championship round, and it was it got defensive, it got tight, it got technical.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Goalies. It was like goalies first, defense. Then the refs just stayed out of it. They were like, we're not in, we're here.
These officials, man. I don't know. I don't get it, man. I don't understand.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't get it.
I don't understand how everyone basically just has this gentleman's agreement in Game 7 that no one's going to do anything too outrageous.
Yeah.
And no one's going to get called for anything. And we're all just going to play some good hockey. Can't we just play all of the games? Like, so much better than watching just teams trading power plays. It's so much better.
Yes. Like, I get why. I understand why, like, the NHL puts the whistles away in the playoffs. Like, I get why this happens. It's just so crazy that it's back and forth. But I do not want to talk about reffing, because this game, holy cow. Yeah, just like, well, I don't even know what to say. Like, Elena's got a beauty, like, in the second period.
Yes.
Or at the middle of the first.
Yeah.
And then he got about 39 chances in the game.
Listen, if Luke Ellenis hadn't have scored the winner and Windsor won this game, Luke Ellenis would be like this for about, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 nights at least in a row. Just literally thinking about all those chances he had. It was only fitting, man. It was only fitting that he got it. He's the guy that we LeBron James memed in the post after game 4. So
we manifested this the hell out of it.
We really did. Yeah. Maybe we had absolutely nothing to do with it, but it, in a way, it felt like it, because all these random things that we said, and we're just, two dudes in a room talking, but almost all of them came true. Don't worry, AudPod audience. We are not going to let it go to our heads.
No, we won't.
We are still going to admit that we know next to nothing, and we're learning everything all the time, and we're having a blast learning about the OHL this year, because, I mean, this has to be one of the most fun seasons and runs that to be your first season to follow a team. I mean, what else could you ask for here? Well, there's one thing you could ask for, but we're not going to get greedy.
We haven't got there yet.
We're not going to get greedy.
No. Just back to Luke Ellenis. he got 8 shots, and 4 of them were high danger shots, according to the OHL.
And I
mean,
assume,
3 of those were breakaways. So
yeah, 3 of those were breakaways, and one of those he beat Costanzo cleanly and
just cleanly,
hit the
yeah.
post.
Yeah.
So,
and the play that got it, like Lamb has been a stud through this series, and you know, he took the shot. It was like, because that's what overtime. This is what overtime in these game 7s become, right? Like, you go to game 7, you go to an overtime.
oh yeah,
Like everybody has everything to lose, and it's just like you're not playing to win. You're playing to capitalize on the other team's first mistake.
That is a very poignant way of saying that, because that is exactly what, like, once it gets late, especially late into overtime, especially in a game 7 when everybody's tired, like, you could just see like the legs were not there. But I will say Tanner Lamb had probably the most legs out of anybody I could see, in like his lateral movement, quick. He was kind of making good turns and stuff. And I could feel something coming with that line. I could feel like Tanner Lamb was in the right place. Obviously, Ellenis was all over the place tonight.
Yeah.
We've been talking about Luke Ellenis the whole season. We've been saying he could be the guy and you know what? He's had to be the guy, and he is. He is him.
He is the guy.
As he after his hat trick, he turned and looked skyward and said, "I'm him." He is absolutely him.
Kevin, he is actually Luke Ellenis.
Luke Ellenis is him. I'm using that the only time because Luke himself said it. So, yeah, it was a crazy game. There was a couple of moments where Jackson Parsons bailed them out. There was one especially where there was a turnover behind the net and Protas, who I was like, it can't be him. This guy can't be him. Anybody but him. And he sent it out front, and forgive me, I can't remember who it was, but it was somebody dangerous, like Davis or Abraham or Morneau, and they put it on net. And I mean, it was just kind of like it was stopped, and that was the end of the scare. But the scare was bad. But the scare was real. The scare ended with Jackson Parsons, and there was a few saves tonight that he made look routine.
Yeah,
and they were anything
stellar
but routine.
shots.
Well, he does something I've noticed is he really places his glove out there and like really puts it out there.
Yes.
And I find that like it's almost like they shoot into his glove. It's almost like a mental, like he's like it's
look,
crazy,
man.
Yeah, but it is. It's almost like he has it perfectly placed that a lot of times you don't see him move his glove at all.
No.
Yeah,
he doesn't have that mass movement.
Yeah, his positioning is just so solid.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, what a redemption for Jackson Parsons. I mean, we that was last week's episode. He looked fine. Like he never looked bad in the series. He looked mortal at the beginning of this series. And then there was just a couple goals that went in that like he hadn't been letting in those kind of goals all year. That like we weren't criticizing him. We'd never criticized the original AudPod guy. Never. But 3 goals against in 4 games. And those 4 games were games 4 through 7 of a second round playoffs.
If you only let in 3 goals over 4 games, you're winning the series.
Yeah.
Oh man, and we did. They won. They won the series, and we're still got a show to do. So
yeah,
what a life.
Okay, I want to do quick off your head. I want to do 3 stars from this game. 3 stars that were not one of the actual 3 stars of this game. So the real 3 stars of the game were Luke Ellenis. He got 2 goals. You got the first. Jackson Parsons saved 39 of 40. And then, of course, Joey Costanzo saved 30 of 32. Like these are the 3 stars I expected to see in this game.
Definitely.
Who's your first star that isn't one of those guys?
First star? Oh, I don't know if I'd give him first star. Why don't you go first, and I'll get your first star.
My first star is Jakub Chromiak. He played a lot of shifts in this game, and you know what? When it came to overtime specifically, he's the unsung hero. We've talked about defensemen who are unsung heroes. He was the pure unsung hero of this game. Every time Protas was near the puck, Chromiak was there tying up his stick, pushing him into the corner. Every time Greentree or whoever was near the puck, Chromiak was blocking shots. He was always disruptive enough that they could never get their shtick going. Because when he got into overtime, you know, as soon as we hit overtime, I got a little worried. Here's my worry is we've talked a lot about how deep the Rangers are. Overtime is not about depth. You want the pure goal scorer on your team. You want the best goal scorer. And arguably Windsor had two better goal scorers than we have on the Rangers going into overtime. So that's what I was worried. And I think Chromiak shut that down. Everything that stopped that from happening, I put almost all into Chromiak. I saw his assignment, and he was quietly, stealthy doing it.
Okay, I will give my first star to the rookie, Cameron Arquette, who was literally all over the ice all night, never stopped moving his feet, broke up passes, dug in the corners. He's a rookie. He's in there against guys much bigger than him, and he was winning draws. He was out-muscling guys like AJ Spellacy, who looked like a man possessed at times in this game. I was terrified when that guy was out there, because I was like, who's this guy? This guy looks like he wants to win this so bad.
Yes.
And Cameron Arquette played out of his mind. He was often the last guy left out on that line when Mercer and Vermeulen would change. Arquette was the deep man still playing. And so there was times where he was out there with other line mates and he didn't have a chance to change. And he was still out there. He still looked fresh all the time. I'm absolutely blown away with the rookie Arquette. I'm so excited for him next year.
Yeah, he looks great. I mean, it's even hard to believe he's a rookie still. Like,
yeah, well,
that's the level he plays with. Yeah. You know what? I don't want to try and think of two more. Let's stick with we gave our own first stars. How do you feel about that? Do you have another one you want to give?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you give.
This was the guy that I was in and on about making him the first star. I'm going to give him an honorable mention here, or just another star. I have no idea what it is.
Sure.
Carson Campbell played out of his mind.
Yeah.
Carson Campbell played one of the best games Carson Campbell has ever played. Carson Campbell he's Chromiak's right hand. He's basically the guy who spelled Chromiak. So when Chromiak needed a spell and to come off and rest, Carson Campbell was out there playing that right side. So the shot block, he hit the post. He was just, he broke up passes. Listen, this is not necessarily a high skill kind of like fancy kind of skating guy. This is like a blue collar, in your face, steady Eddie. All year he's been doing it, and I just loved to see it again in Game 7. And he never got tired. Carson Campbell at Campbellford does not get tired.
You never get. When you eat your Campbell soup in Campbellford, Carson Campbell does not get tired. He also took him and Hicks, I think, had a crazy hit in the first period.
Yes.
Where they destroyed each other.
Yes.
Like they were both I didn't think either of them were coming back for the rest of the game. I thought that was it. And they both came back and he then had this amazing game. But that was in the first period.
Absolutely.
Okay, fine. You gave a second one. I'm going to give a second one. I mentioned him earlier, Lamb. He's been a monster in this series. He obviously was the assist on the winning goal, and he had an unbelievable series. At one point tonight, my wife was watching the game with me, and he got in between Protas and someone else huge on Windsor, and he was trying to break the line, and he just couldn't get through there.
Yeah.
The tenacity to even attempt to do it, that's just all Tanner Lamb. That's what he is. Like he is a go-getter machine. And
they often in hockey call smaller, hardworking guys spark plugs. I mean, redefine the term. Tanner Lamb is the spark plug of the series.
The Laminator is going to be up there one day with the Lamborghini and the all I can name is Flames. The Maggi.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, this is the thing: is he's a guy who plays much bigger game than than he is. I mean, like we said, he's not a small human. He's a regular sized human, but he happens to play a game with giants.
When you play against Protoss, who is a freak.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look tiny. This is a hockey player for ants.
This Windsor team is just a big team. So
yeah.
Honestly though, like it kind of feels like, going back to that like heavyweight championship kind of analogy, it feels like, you let the big guy punch himself out.
Yeah.
And then you just take over and you beat him up. And then once it gets down to, brass tacks, who runs out of gas first is the big dude, right? So you just hang in there and you just hang in there and eventually you get the dub. And that's what they did.
And like a special shout out here to Zhu, who ended up playing like the whole series. Like he looked good. He's a rookie.
No, Zhu, I mean, I texted you during the overtime. I was like, we're not seeing Zhu and McNeil. Like, but that's normal. That's par for the course. I wondered how long into overtime it would take to start seeing that third pairing.
Yeah, the third pairing and the fourth line.
Yeah, and the fourth line that just was stapled to the bench.
Yeah.
That's what happens in overtime, though. So they did their job. They did their job well. He took some hits. He dished out some hits. I love watching the kid play hockey. I think he's exactly the type of young, raw, big, physical, strong, heavy shot defenseman that you can mold with this kind of a coaching staff. They're going to mold him into such a great player.
He's going to be a terrific player.
He already is a good player, so he's going to be a great player. You're right. So
you were listening. Did you listen to Farwell through the whole game?
I listened to Farwell. Unfortunately I didn't hear Farwell's overtime call because my Bluetooth headphones died. The battery. So
they were. I think it was in the third period. I was. You were listening to Mike Farwell on the radio, watching the stream of the game, and I was watching the stream of the game, but I was listening to the Windsor commentators. And at one point, I think it was in the third period, the commentator was like, "They keep hitting Zhu, and he just doesn't move."
Yeah, he's a big tough kid, man.
I was like, I just absorbed it all.
Well, the bottom line is like he's in the lineup and, guys are scratched because he's played himself into the lineup and they can't take him out because he's just playing too well.
Yeah.
So what else can you say? They put him into the lineup. They lost a couple games. They put him into the lineup and they won the series. So I'm not saying he won them the series. I'm just saying that once you start winning games with that lineup, you don't go away from that lineup.
Yeah. It's like washing your t-shirt. I didn't wash anything for the last week.
Sorry, washing?
What?
I don't know.
Just bad luck to wash your...
I don't know anything about washing. Gross. I'm also relegated to sleeping in the basement now. No, I'm kidding. I'm very hygienic.
You do look like you haven't seen the sun in a few days.
Yeah. That's because it's like middle of the night now. I feel like I've been up for 1,000 hours. This is nuts.
Okay. We did this again to ourselves where we have no plan. So I'm going to end it here. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to Jeff Pickles at CTV. Did I get that name right?
No, it's not plural.
Pickle.
Yeah.
Jeff Pickle. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say a huge shout out to Jeff Pickle over at CTV Kitchener. I'm so sorry that you thought that we were experts enough to call us to talk about this Game 7, but appreciate it nonetheless. That was super fun. And that was a blast. It was another good part of today.
That was, yes, there's been a lot of good today, both personally and with the Rangers. So I'm very grateful for Jeff Pickle reaching out to us.
Of course, you have to thank Ken Bourne, the director of branding and marketing. I think we're both wearing our AudPod hats today. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Papa Bourne. We sported him proud on the Kitchener News.
We did indeed. Shout out to the prodigal producer, Liam.
The Phenom, the third round of the playoffs, Phenom.
And Andrew, you can find us on the social medias. How do you do that?
At the Odd Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Check it out. You can see that little piece that Mr. Pickle did for us. Now, you can also check us out on YouTube, and you can watch the extended version. If you're listening right now, you can watch the extended version, uncut, where it's unedited. It's raw, and sometimes we go on our phones and text each other. No, that does not happen.
Lose track of what we're talking about, mostly.
Sometimes we have hamstring cramps, and you can see that there.
Yes,
because we're in phenomenal shape. That's why we're podcasters.
Exactly. And you might have noticed we didn't talk about the next series at all. Obviously, we're going to London. Starts on Friday. We did not want to mess with anything in the universe by even looking up anything about London. So, You know what? The game starts Friday. This podcast comes out on Friday. You'll know what happens. We complain about London all the time. So, anyways, as always,
let's go ahead, slay the dragon. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Winning streaks don't go forever. Andrew, where can you find us at? How do I say this? You can find us at
the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium.
See you at the Odd.